Alrighty, g'day guys. Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate and the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do we call the Steel Syndicate podcast? I just
That's long,
forgot.
man.
Look, yeah, I was just telling Owen off air. I feel a bit flat. I really do because I knew this was going to happen. Owen, I put all my energy into last week. I was so hyped and I had the game plan in my head how they could do this, and they played well in the first half. They really did. And then they lost control in the second half. And we'll talk a bit about that in a minute. And then we'll start to preview the game. But it all went to shambles. And it's really deflated me this week of like, maybe I'm looking at the reality that it could be a losing season. Because this is the last possible chance of all chances is you have to be hyped now for 7 games in a row. And it's like, I think I wasted all my energy getting myself hyped for the Bengals game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the game that mattered, wasn't it, really, I suppose, at the end of the day.
You had to have that one. You had to.
And yeah, we had to beat them because of. I mean, I was talking. I can't remember what it was on a video of what day it was, but they just look. I hate the Browns the most. Look, the Browns are the team I can't stand the most, but the Bengals are fast getting up there because one of the things I don't know what you think, Mark, but one of the things I find with the Bengals is they just can't stop running their mouth. They just cannot shut up.
The players or the fans?
Well, I was going more for the players in this instance. I mean, you had what Tyler Boyd last year, calling the Steelers out, saying the Steelers quit. Then you had like Jesse Bates saying something about the team before the game on Sunday. Then you had Jermaine Pratt calling out the team and saying that that they're predictable. Then yesterday you had Lyle Collins calling out TJ Watt, which as we know is a big mistake. Just seriously, shut up.
It's even in the media too. Pac-Man Jones always this time of year always kind of rags them out, right? Mm-hmm. They're more worried about us than we are worried about them. It sounds like me and my spider incident. Right. Yeah. They are more worried about us. They call it the old Steelers week and stuff like that. That to them was their Super Bowl again. In the past, you've seen TJ Hushmanzada take the terrible towel and wipe with his feet. They are much more worried about us than we are them. But at the same time, I was super hyped. I did think the Steelers could win. I thought they could win by a big margin with everything going on. I thought this offense might have clicked. And they did click. What were your thoughts, just quickly on this game? They'll move forward into the next game. But what are your thoughts on the offense? First half and second half.
Taylor two halves, wasn't it? I mean, first half wasn't. Look, the first half wasn't brilliant. It wasn't brilliant, but it wasn't bad. It was probably the best they played all season, and that was thanks to Najee Harris. But the second half was just abject. It was absolutely abject. And Matt Canada. There was some audio released today of Canada explaining in detail about the plays, but it doesn't cut it. It just does not cut it. It's excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse.
That's it. He came on record today, and I find it funny how you pointed out a few weeks ago, you never see the Pittsburgh Steelers release video audio footage of him ever. It's always guys like DK Sports or our mate Noah Struckbarn, all the Steelers talk on YouTube. Check those guys out too. I'm sure you guys already know who they are. Right, you saw a video. I think DK and both Noah released was Matt Canada saying he's the luckiest man alive because he has the job with Pittsburgh, and then he went on to say that he did need to have some fault. Right, he's taken ownership, but to me it's too late, and I believe in his smile and in his words there is no true honesty about that. I just think he's doing what he wants to do, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter to him. I just think overall, he may have said, well, it's all on me today, but it's too little too late. And even in that game, you called a good first half. Things were moving 20-17, and you come out and you throw a screen to DJ that goes nowhere, and the drive stalls. And I always say this, you have 7 days to prepare. You have a whole half to change something up. And obviously the Bengals played better, and they went 3 and out 4 times in a row. And of course, players need to play into that, but I think overall it's coaching. And he knows it because when he says to the media, I'm the luckiest person alive, I'm the luckiest guy in Pittsburgh, he knows that because he's not doing a good job, right? But overall, I was frustrated with the second half. I thought we had a chance. Up 2017, I was ready to go. I was like, let's run this football, establish a run, play action pass, get it to Muth again, because Kenny did that. Kenny found Muth after that interception from Levi Wallace. He found him, right? Down to the end zone, got the field goal, came up points. You start the second half, and everything fell to pieces, right? It was like the house of cards slowly fell to pieces, right?
It was. Guys, let's just take a minute out, actually, Mark. Say happy Thanksgiving to everybody in America. Got loads of people joining us, obviously talking about Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, everything like that. So, yeah. So I'll say happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the US from the UK. Obviously, I know it's a big day for you, a big festival, big thing for you in the US. Obviously, we don't have it in the UK. But, yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope you're having a great day with your families. Hope you've enjoyed your turkey, your mashed potatoes, and whatever else, your mac and cheese, whatever else it is that you eat on Thanksgiving.
Well, on that point, I do feel kind of flat today because I was so hyped up, right? It was a massive thing. But let's talk about something about us being thankful, right? And I want to go, I guess, around the room. Only us two.
Go around the room, guys. Do we have to wear badges?
No. Don't have to hold a stick or anything like that. I just want to
hands.
I guess in this show we got to try and be positive if we can, like because it is Thanksgiving and it's a big American tradition. But Owen, what are you truly thankful for? And it can be life, it can be football, it can be anything, and I'll go after you.
Okay, so what we're going life and football then, are we?
We'll do both. We'll do both. Okay, we'll do like what are you thankful for in life and what are you thankful for in football? Because I think both would be good.
Let's start with football because obviously we're talking football initially. So what am I thankful for? I'm thankful for the small green shoots that there are there at this moment in time in the Steelers franchise. I'm talking the likes of TJ Watt. I'm talking the recovery of Najee Harris. And I'm talking, of course, about this man here, Mr. George Pickens, obviously big star in the making. So that's what I'm thankful for with the Steelers, that we've got some building blocks to rebuild, retool, whatever word you want to choose on. So that's what I'm thankful for. In terms of life, well, obviously I'm thankful for my daughters. My daughters are my life, Rebecca and Laura. Thankful for my girlfriend, Liz, as well. So, yeah, that's what I'm thankful for, definitely. How about you, Mark?
Well, I'll start with football too. And this may sound funny, but I'm kind of thankful that the Steelers have a rich history of 6 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
Because during these times, yes, it could be a losing season. And like I still will believe in 2 days' time when I get so excited for the game that I believe we can go on a 7-0 run. It's just the way I'm built, and I won't give up until it's over. Until we're mathematically out of the playoffs, I won't give up. Right? I will believe that. But I am thankful in a football sense for what we've seen in the past 20 years, winning those 2 Super Bowls to make it 6. It's absolutely amazing. And it makes those teams even better, right? Now we're going through this rebuilding, retooling idea. We have some good players individually, but collectively they're not playing well, okay? You look back at it and go, wow, the 04 defense was amazing. Or the 08 defense was amazing. And Big Ben as a rookie did what he needed to do, and they went and won 2 and went to 3. That's what I'm thankful for, okay? I really am. Now, in a truly honest thing, like I know this sounds weird, and I'm a weird bloke, but I'm actually just thankful for life. You know what I'm saying? Like I find this whole thing so interesting that, you come, you just 1 minute, you're nothing, next minute, you're nothing, like you're here and then you're gone. But I am thankful in between of like life itself and what it means to just be a person. If it is, working on YouTube with yourself or the guys in the chat, or if it's me going to buy my local beer, having a chat with the guy on the road, you know what I mean? Just the small things like that, or my family, my friends, social engagements. But life itself is like, to me, is so weird. And, the weirdest point, if I can bring it back to football sense, we almost saw a Bengals Super Bowl win. And in life itself, that would have been weird to see, right? But I really am thankful for the opportunity that I have on this platform where I have, clean running water. I have a roof over my head. I have pretty much, everything at my disposal to be successful, where some other countries don't have that, right? So that's what I'm, thankful for. So, and I know that America will, would probably be in the same boat, and all the families get together, have a few beers, and you can watch football. And now there's a halftime show going on. And all these things can't happen in third world countries or other countries that are near poverty line, right? People are trying to survive every day, not trying to go too down the dumps, but that's just the reality of what it is. I'm very thankful to wear a microphone or have a microphone and wear headphones and be sitting comfortably in my room and then going out later on today and driving Uber to make money. That's it, right? That's a good positive spin anyway.
Yeah. And I think there's something else you're thankful for, Mark.
What's that?
I've been a Bengals fan.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's probably a good Bengals fan out there called Mark Naverson, and he's probably never seen them win one. And you got to feel with him a little bit, but I never want to see them win, and that's why it's so funny.
Welcome to the bungle.
I'm watching the halftime show now, and Steelers saying Jedi says, I'm not thankful for the Jonas Brothers. I agree with that. Like, can we please match up some music talent towards the football field that goes hand in hand? Like, seriously, that is beyond crazy how they get these guys, you know. And we have here Brian's thankful for God and blessing. And 100%, if you're a religious person, we respect that. That's fantastic. Steel Nation communities, you guys are all amazing. That's the best thing about it. Brian's here. I'm thankful for all Steel fans having a forum to talk shop and air it out. Exactly. That's the biggest thing. This platform, not only for us to air out our frustrations, you guys can type out your frustrations. That's what I think this season's been about. And I was talking to Owen off air. I was like, what are we going to talk about? Because we've pretty much talked about the same narrative the whole year. They need to get better, and what can they do? What can they do better to win? Mm-hmm. And I get stuck there. I'm like, well, now you just got to run the ball. The offense got to line. You know, offense line got to play better. You know, Pickett's got to play better, right? Matt Cutter's got to call better plays. I get stuck there, but we got to somehow preview this game, Owen.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I really don't know where to start because I don't want to get myself hyped up. Your mission today is to try and get me on the win train. I think they can win,
man.
Like, if we win, then like I'm gonna like, oh, okay, only 6 more to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, obviously there is some interesting stories around today. George Pickens saying that NFL that Steelers practices are not as tough as Georgia's practices. That he found Georgia more challenging and a lot harder than Steelers practices, which I think is a pretty damning indictment on our coaching staff and our defense to some extent, isn't it? I mean, I know obviously Kirby Smart is a very, very good coach, and they are national champions. I think they will. Sorry, Pitt fans, and sorry, Penn State fans, but I think Georgia will repeat as national champions this year. They are outstanding again. But it is a bit of a damning indictment on our coaching staff. But then again, it goes with the narrative that we've had all year, isn't it? From a lot of the rookies that, you know, Kenny Pickett saying that they don't study hard enough, then Tomlin seemingly contradicting him, and now George Pickens saying it as well. And I just think, you know, to be honest, if enough people are coming out and saying exactly the same thing, there's got to be some truth in it. For the same narrative to be repeated on an almost weekly basis now by people who have come into the organization afresh and are seeing things afresh.
Well, there is a lot. Even Juju saying that the offense was, you know, with Chiefs, stuff like that. You know, well, he said, Juju said the offense was better than the Chiefs. Of course, that happened, right? And you're right. There are more and more people coming out or players in the locker room or outside. And that's what I mean. Tomlin, to a certain degree, has lost this locker room, right? Because he can even see that by the record. And Matt Canada has lost his locker room the minute he walked in. Like, I'm only joking. But look, it is tough now because even Kenny Pickett said in an interview the other day as well, and you can see these small little things coming out because they're getting frustrated, right? But Kenny Pickett said, why aren't we using DJ more and putting him in situations to get the football? You know, of course, he has one of the I think the highest drop rates or you know, he gets targeted a lot and he's not completing the football. But this offense can't be clicking. And you're right. If Pickens is coming out and saying Georgia practice harder, then what are the Steelers doing? And then fundamentally speaking, it starts from the Rooneys to Tomlin to the two coaches and putting down that stress or that good stress you need to be prepared for a game. And as we know over the last 5 years or so, in the big games, sometimes they turn up and other times they completely and Jedi says the Tomlins aren't working anymore. You know, paint the thing with a broad brush. And I'm not saying fire Tomlin, but I'm just saying it is getting a bit stale to a certain degree. And that's always going to happen.
Do you think to some degree that, I think it was Terry Bradshaw said that Tomlin's a cheerleader?
Well, there must be some truth in that, right? I think there's probably truth in everything. Now, I can't really comment too much on that because I'm so far disconnected. But if he's saying that, he must be seeing something, or he's talked to him, and maybe it's really hard to pinpoint. But if Terry Bradshaw is saying that, then there might be something to it, right? Because all these other players are saying it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Bradshaw, is it? It's also Debo as well. I mean, if you look at what Debo had to say, after he retired about Tomlin, and he also, I mean, I know he got a lot of criticism for this, but Debo was a Patriot for a while, and his comparison with the New England way of doing it, the New England way, the Patriot way, and the Steeler way, he just said that the Patriot way is a lot more professional. It's a lot more dialed in. It's a lot more focused. It's a lot more organized. And he spoke, he basically saying that the Steelers are very amateur in the way they do things still. And I think, like I said, with enough people saying it now, you've got to start to perhaps question the coaching.
Yeah, well, there is a lot, and there's probably a few things we can't even remember right now. But even Jedi says here with Cowher, the players will be pissing their pants right now, and I kind of agree with that, right? But to me, okay, is the locker room too relaxed then? Are the players' mentality just too relaxed, and there isn't enough coaching or leadership there? Now, Tomlin has been known to be a player's coach. Are they just too relaxed, and they're just going through these walkthroughs or practices, not putting in the full effort? But you see individual effort, you really do, on some players like TJ Watt and guys like that. But there's only a few of those guys. You could probably only name maybe 8 players, I think, that individually that are trying, maybe 8. But is there any, are they too relaxed? Where's the collective unit? Where's the Steelers? Steal away.
Yeah, I mean, you look at them, and I think I said to you off air, I was listening to Noah Strackbine, who, I've got loads of respect for Noah. Noah's someone who is an insider. He goes into the locker room. He interviews players in the locker room. He goes to Tomlin's press conferences. Poor him. How he stays awake, God only knows. But he's an insider. He sees what's going on, and he did a podcast on, I think it was Monday. I was listening to it on Monday, and he said, "Look, I'm going to come out and say this. I'm going to get a lot of criticism for this. I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. I've got to face these guys. I'm going to come out and say this." And he said, "They've given up. They've given up. Simple as." He says, "You look at that second half performance against the Bengals, and there you have it in a nutshell. Players don't care. They do not care. They've just given up." And like you said, Mark, and I think he echoed this, they just trot out the same old after every single game. We've got to play better. We've got to do better. We'll get them next week. Blah, blah, blah. It's the same stuff. And I mean, did Mike Tomlin have a news conference on Tuesday? I don't know. I didn't even. I reckon I was at work, but I didn't even. I didn't come. This is the first week in a number of years now. I didn't watch it. Yeah. And do you know why I didn't watch it? Because I'm bored of it. I'm bored of the same old BS week in, week out. Look, I know I'm not there. I'm not on the practice field. I'm not in the locker room. I don't know what goes on. Look, I'll be the first to admit that. And yes, coaches are very reserved in what they say to the media, because it's the same in every sport, whether it's soccer, whether it's AFL, NRL, the English Premier League, rugby over here, whatever. It's that no coaches are going to come out and throw people under the bus. That's not how it works. But you've got to wonder that, his message hasn't changed for 16 years. Is his message now falling on deaf ears? That's the question that's got to be asked. And the Rooneys have got to grow a pair. And I don't think Art Rooney has a pair. I think he's a pale imitation of Dan Rooney.
Well, he's not really that involved, is he? You don't really see him that involved as You've
got to wonder what Dan Rooney would have done in this situation. Would he have tolerated what was going on at this moment in time? Would he have tolerated the way things are going? And I'll be honest with you, I don't think he would. I think Art Rooney's weak. I really do think he is weak.
And that's the thing too, because a lot of players like Big Ben had a real good relationship with Dan as well, and so did Ike Taylor, right? These guys had working relationships with these guys, but it feels like this Pittsburgh Steelers team or culture is missing something, and they are just going through the motions. That's why, like I said, like when you watch them on the field, when they go through the receiver reps or the offensive line, or like no one is picking anyone up. No one's really cheering for each other. It's all individual success. I've talked about before when I talked to you this too, that when players celebrate or Marcus Allen dances because he got a big tackle after a tackle, or George Pickens does a first down, but you're losing by 10 points. He does that finger thing, right? It's all individual. You know what I mean? There's no collective like success. And I was watching the Lions game today against the Buffalo Bills, and they were all playing really hard, and they still lost. Right now, a lot of Lions fans want them to win. They're not happy when they're just them losing, but at least their team's trying it. It does seem like our team has, to a certain degree, checked out. And I don't know if that is because of coaching or it's because the players, aren't as skillful. It's just very. It's like the thing is, where do we go from here? Because we've been pointing out these things, and Tomlin keeps saying the same old things. That all will get. And so even to a certain degree, the big leagues like Cam, even Cam to a certain degree, I'm like, you're a great player, I get you, but every week you talk about the D line being bad. It's every single week.
If you pull up, Brian Harrington makes a good point in the live chat about Chuck. He said Chuck Noll was a great coach. Just pull that way. Chuck Noll was a great coach, but his time passed, and at the end of his career, he got complacent.
That could be.
Tomlin might be in the same place in his career too. Yeah. I posted something on my Facebook group about 2-3 weeks ago about this, and I got a lot of criticism for it. But if you
on Facebook, no way, you wouldn't get
the trolls. Yeah, the trolls on there. Such a nice place to be, isn't it? Lovely place to be. I have some beautiful arguments with Steeler fans and with Bengals fans and with people of an alternative political persuasion for me, but I'm not going to get into that obviously on a Steelers podcast. But Brian's right, and I compared the last 5 years of Noll with the last 5 years of Tomlin, and there are striking similarities between the last 5 years in terms of record of Noll and of Tomlin. And also, I think you're seeing as well in the media and also on social media as well. And look, I know that the Steelers fan base is a very toxic fan base in terms of criticism on social media. I get that. Not our live chat. Our live chat are brilliant. But to what extent was Tomlin's 16 winning seasons Ben's 16 winning seasons and not Mike Tomlin's? It's a question, isn't it?
We're seeing, to me, if you break that question down a little bit, right, we're seeing how much the team does miss Big Ben. Now, I'm not saying that Big Ben won every single game by himself. I still believe it's a collective effort of the team and the coaching and that kind of stuff and where you are and the defense and the offense, all that stuff. But we are seeing the transitional steps without Big Ben and what this team is going through. Now, there's a few things here. Stay the Steelers says, or our mate Daniel says, I think Tomlin is routine and being in the league for so long is now predictable. That's a good call as well. You've been in the league so long, and every hot streak must come to an end, right? Unless you change it up where you have been here for 16 years and you get this new fresh air of energy and something else sparks within you. But it does seem like it's the same old, same stuff. And there does need to be responsibility on him and on his coaches and for the players to go out there and play. But what is frustrating I think, is that this is a current theme, not only this year, but probably the last few years, right? When do you think that the team, I don't know if I've asked you this question before, when do you think was the last time the team had a legitimate chance that they were a good team and could go to the playoffs and could win a Super Bowl? What year?
God, that's a tricky question. That is a really tricky question. Before I answer that question, I want to come back to one point you actually made, Mark, about the fact that, and obviously what Daniel said and others have said about predictability. The other thing on that is the fact that the organization has a fundamental problem, and it is that they promote from within constantly. And if you promote from within constantly to the major positions, I know Flores has come in, I get that, but if you constantly promote from within, you get no fresh blood, you get no external eyes. Now, when external eyes come into an organization, they see things that are wrong. Okay, if you work within an organization and you constantly just promote people from below, they don't see what's wrong because on the whole, people don't like change. People don't like change. The human race don't like change. So they promote from within. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's nothing's a problem. So at the end of the day, everyone is going to just go along with, this is how we do things. This is how we've always done things. And because we're not bringing in outside blood to offensive coordinator, to defensive coordinator, head coach, we've got no new ideas, absolutely no new ideas whatsoever. And that is a major problem, I think, with what's going on.
And I do love already, we've been 26 minutes in and we still haven't mentioned the preview yet, but it's like, it's the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know what, I'll probably agree with State 2017, probably the last time. I mean,
that was
the last
the same.
Time we had a decent chance of actually doing something. I mean, you go back across the last few years, last year, 9-7, we dragged our ass into, no, I'll rephrase that. Ben dragged our ass into the playoffs because he didn't want to go out with his last memory of a playoff game been sitting on the bench crying because they'd lost to the Bengals. 2020 was a funny year. 12-4 was a funny year because we finished 1-5 effectively with that loss.
Was it the one they lost to the Browns? Is that right?
Yeah, they lost the Browns.
That was a weird year because I still think, to a certain degree, and people can hate me for this, I don't really care, but I still think you should have played Ben to get rid of the Browns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You played Mason, I think, and then they won, and the next week they beat you.
Yeah.
Was that right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They beat you twice in a row. Like, I still think, why not play Ben to end them and play him to the third quarter, get that team ready, get rid of the Browns, and play someone else. That was I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, then you go back, 2019 obviously was the year when Ben was out, and we had Mason and Duck was 8-8. The year before that, 9-6-1. I mean, second year, that again, poor year. And like 2017, 13-3, I think that was probably the best chance that we had. But obviously, we didn't do that well like this year. But the last 5 years, if you include this year as part of those last 5 years, if you don't include 2017, 9-6-1, 8-0, 12-4, I'm kind of just 2020 was because of the COVID pandemic, it was a weird year. Everyone playing behind closed doors and the COVID bubbles and
the Ravens game, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. And then 9-7-1 last year when Ben dragged our asses into the playoffs. And then this year, obviously, we're 3-7. So it's been poor. It's been poor for a long time now. And I mean, I keep saying this and I get so much criticism for it and I get so much hassle for it off certain people. And this franchise needs a huge overhaul in the summer. Someone needs to sit down. And if that's Omar Khan, great. If it's not Omar Khan, perhaps we'll have to look for someone else. But someone needs to sit down and do a root and branch overhaul, modernization, and bring this franchise kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Because at this moment in time, we're operating like it's the 1970s still in our hiring policies, in our player recruitment policy. We are miles behind the Chiefs. We are miles behind the Bills. We are miles behind the Eagles. We are miles behind the Rams. We are just miles behind the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens even, because they're just so far behind. And as someone who cares so passionately about the team, to see the decisions that get made on a weekly and monthly and yearly basis about this team, constant promotions from within, no outstanding candidates brought in to be offensive and defensive coordinators. Why? Because this is just a rumor. Tomlin is too scared to bring in anybody who can challenge him. The drafting and the free agency and the whole, not prepared to go out and spend money on big names.
No big names, right?
Yeah. So this, I mean, one position we are crying out for. I know this is something, our mate Matty talks about, cornerback one. No movement on that. There was a great article on, I can't remember what it was on Sports. I think it was on Sports. It was on Sports Illustrated by Derek Bell, and he wrote this article and he said that Steelers cornerback one is a huge position. The cornerbacks this year have been a disaster. They've been awful, and yes, the pass rush hasn't helped that this year with TJ been out, but not since Ike Taylor and before that Rod Woodson have we had a cornerback one. Nobody has been able to lock down the top wide receivers of different teams. And there were some stats, I think, week one, we couldn't shut Jamar Chase down. We couldn't shut AJ Brown down. We couldn't shut Stephon Diggs down. We couldn't, we just couldn't, because we haven't got a corner. You can put one
T. Higgins last week.
Yeah, T. Higgins with an outstanding receiver. We just have not got that. And that's down to poor free agency moves. JC Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, AJ Bouye, all available this year, non-signed. Who do we go out and get? William Jackson III, who it now looks like will not play a game again this season. Great move, guys. Great move.
Here's a question for you. If we do have, or most teams have philosophy, right? And you can probably break this down as best you can. But what is our philosophy being now the Steelers? Like, what are we? Are we the run team? What is our overall philosophy on? What do you think? That's a hard question.
The franchise still thinks that we are a contender. That's what the franchise thinks, that we're a contender. The reality of the situation is that we are an also ran now, and I'm sorry, Steeler Nation, that's what we are. We're nothing now. We're not in the top 8 teams in the AFC anymore at this moment in time. And why? Because the coaching's stale. Because the players don't give a monkeys anymore. They don't care anymore.
Jedi backs it up there, so we can win every game. The talent we have, I agree with that. There's just no heart in the players.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. I mean, just isolate it for a minute, right? Look at the talent on defense, right? You've got Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Miles Jack, Minka Fitzpatrick. 6 out of the starting 11 would walk into most other AFC teams' lineups, right? Offense: Najee Harris, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth. Okay, that's
DJ.
No, I don't rate. I honestly think we should trade DJ at the end of this year. I think he's useless. Those 3 players, though, would walk into most other teams' starting lineups. They would do. They'd walk in. But why are we struggling? Because the coaching's not up to standard. I'd love to see if we gave this roster. And yeah, there are a lot of holes. Don't get me wrong. Yes, there are holes. The offensive line is very, very, very average. It's not bad. It's not brilliant. It's average. That's all it is. But if we gave this lineup to someone like Kyle Shanahan, to Andy Reid, would they be as bad as this year?
State says don't forget Dan Moore.
Turnstile. Turnstile more, yeah.
I got a few things in here I want to kind of cover too. Claude says here, Jerry Dulac, and I saw this article as well, and I want to hear your thoughts. Jerry Dulac says Tomlin should bench Pickett because he's costing the Steelers wins. What are your thoughts on that?
Rubbish. It's not Pickett that's costing them wins. It isn't Pickett. Was Pickett responsible for the defense giving up 37 points last week? Was Pickett responsible for the fact that the offensive line have forgotten how to pass protect now? Was Pickett responsible for the fact that Deontay Johnson goes missing in big games? I even tweeted out after the Bengals game, could someone please ring the police in Pittsburgh and take out a missing persons report on DJ because he went missing in that game. You know, is Kenny Pickett responsible for Matt Canada's play calls? Is Kenny Pickett responsible for the secondary getting burned by T. Higgins? No.
To me though, if they bench Pickett, you'd have to go back to Trubisky, right? Because they're not going to start Rudolph, are they?
No.
Now, does that mean that if they go back to Trubisky, they want to try and win games and win the last 7? Is that would they be saying that?
But is Trubisky going to win the last 7?
Don't know.
Is Trubisky? All you're going to see from Trubisky is the same Trubisky you saw at the start of the season. A Trubisky that's scared of losing his job. A Trubisky that's worried about this. A Trubisky that's never ever pulled up any trees anywhere else, has he? Really?
He did play well though. It was kind of funny in that, was it the Bucs game he won? I think.
Because he came in relief and there was no pressure on him.
And zinged it right. I thought that was cool to see. I don't know what Jerry's, of course Jerry's got his opinion on Pickett and stuff like that, but I don't think the Steelers would go and move Pickett away, being 7 games away from the offseason. Let's say they're not going to make the playoffs, right? You've got 7 games to evaluate. It's really 7 preseason games, isn't it, for next year, right? You've got an easier schedule. You have the Colts on Monday night. I don't think you go away from Pickett now being this far in. Now, of course, you could have played woulda, shoulda, couldas, and you could have played Trubisky the whole year. You could have played Mason at backup. You could have done so many things where you sat Pickett the whole time, but you never, now it's happened, right? And maybe they did put him in the situation too early. But Owen, for the next 15 minutes, let's talk about the game.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I mean, just last point on that Pickett thing, Mark, is the fact that whatever happens now, the Steelers want to see what they've got in Pickett. That's what they want to do now. They want to see what they've got in him. They want to see what he's made of, ready for next year. That's look. I love my Pittsburgh Steelers to bits. I and like you, Mark, I live in hope that we can go 7-0. I live in hope.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'll keep drinking. What is it? Grid always says drinking the Kool-Aid.
But, the Kool-Aid. Yeah.
Yeah, but realistically, the season's over now, and it's about looking. And I think I made a video on Syndicate the other day about this, about players playing for their future. And I think there's a lot of players on that team that in these last 7 games need to step up and show themselves to be worthy of wearing the jersey. Like I said on a video that I did for Britsburgh, in England, we are a lot more vicious in our support of our team, and a lot more horrible and a lot more critical than NFL fans are, because you can see that in a game day. Mark, if you ever come to England, I'll take you to a game and you'll see that.
I'd be nervous, man, because you fans fight each other like it's Braveheart.
Well, I'll tell you something. In England, a soccer game is war. But we have a song that says, "You're not fit. You're not fit to wear the shirt. You're not fit to wear the shirt," which is a song we sing to the players, and we direct that at players on our own team that we think are not up to playing for our team. And there's a number of these players at the moment you could direct that song at. You are not fit to wear that shirt. And there's a number of players that have got to really step it up coming into this last 7 games and show that they are worthy of playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dan Moore been one of them. Kevin Dotson been another one of them.
I agree with you 100%. Now, let's talk about the game. What's going to happen at the running back position for this game?
Well, it's going to be solely down to Najee Harris, isn't it? All by himself. There's nobody else. Unless Jaylen Warren...
Warren's been limited so far. They're trying to feed in Anthony McFarland, right?
Yeah.
But for this game, right, is this a game where you can lean on Najee Harris? It's Monday Night Football. Is this the game for him to finally have the breakout and show the 2 TDs, the 100-yard rushing, yada, yada, yada? Is this the game for him?
Slapping at what Steelers say on Jedi said there. I heard you guys have a family section in the stadium over there. Mate, that doesn't count for anything over here. My best mate's mum got thrown out of a family section for being too drunk. That's his mum. Anyway, I think they can, because the Colts defense is no great shakes. I mean, it's not outstanding. I mean, but what's the alternative? I mean, if Anthony McFarland gets him, we may. I honestly think Anthony McFarland should have roster spot since the start of the year. I think we should have been able to see Anthony McFarland.
That's what I was saying too, yeah.
Because he's different to Warren and Harris. He's fast. He's a change of pace back, which we don't have. And they effectively, and this is an old argument, I know, but they wasted a roster spot on Benny Snell. They really did. I mean, that guy is.
They haven't played him only a few snaps at the running back position. I think last week when Warren went down, never ran the ball, never caught the ball, and it's like we talked about this before in the offseason. These players have these spots that aren't doing anything, and maybe that's the way the Steelers. What are the Steelers doing? You have these players on the roster and you're not using them. And exactly right. Why is Snell still on the team? We went through this. I think it was you and me. I think it was you and me went through the actual snaps. Yeah, that we found out that Derek Watt got $400,000 a tackle. Something like that, right? Or $325,000 a tackle. Benny Snell has probably made 5-7 tackles this year, whatever. Never run it. So this is, to me, is like with this preview game, you've only got Najee Harris. Why aren't you coaching or allowing or scheming or putting Snell in the play? Surely he can run the football 4 yards.
Yeah, I'm better than whatever Benny Snell's done.
And this is a good point too. Steelers saying Jedi says he's still on the team. There'd be fans out there that wouldn't really know who our gunners and who play returns team, right? Would there? Like new fans when you first come into the sport, you're only watching the stars on the field. So they'd be like, I wouldn't even know he's on the team. Also, it's actually probably a podcasting YouTube channel out there called Chat Sports. They probably don't know he's on the team either.
Hey, I mean, this season, Benny Snell has played three snaps on offense. Has
3.
He? Didn't even know.
Must have been last week.
And he's played 68% of the special teams snaps, apparently.
Do you know how many tackles he has? This always intrigues me.
I'm gonna try and try and find that in a minute. He has had 2 returns apparently this year. Not that I can remember either of them. 15 yards, 7.5. Tell you what, I've just remembered a positive mark. Stephen Sims, kick returner, punt returner, absolutely fantastic. There you go.
I think the returns came, was it last week because they squibbed the ball, I think.
Yeah.
They might have done that, I think.
Here you go. I found it. Right. So Benny Snell this year has made, are we ready for this? 3 solo tackles and 2 assisted tackles.
5. So 5. So
5.
So in this whole idea, why aren't you going and finding another running back, or you know what I mean, that can play both teams and that? Or I just don't understand. Or you can push things a certain way where you have a second running back or someone behind Najee Harris. Not saying Warren's not the guy. I'm saying like you can use another dude. You haven't used him at running back. So he has 5 tackles over 11 games, and he gets paid low. Derek Watt's worse though. Although they've used Derek Watt a fair bit in this offense, they have.
Yeah, they've used him.
That's frustrating.
Okay, are you ready for it, Mark? Here we go. Okay, so Benny Snell is getting this year
$4 million, isn't it, or something?
It's over $1 million.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to interpret these things here. 4-year contract, $1.14 million.
So $250,000 a tackle.
Correct. I'm not being funny, right? But do you know what? I reckon if you put me, look, I am because of having my operation, I am really quite unfit at the moment because I haven't done any much exercise. But put me in pads, put me in a helmet. I reckon I could make 5 tackles for that much.
I reckon as well, right? If you're, say for instance, if you're the worst player out of the 11 people running down the field, you could probably make a tackle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even kickers, even Matthew Wright made a tackle, I think, last week against the Bag. So yeah, this is the thing. I think the problem with this this team and this mindset is like, why aren't you using plays in the certain situations they need to be used at? You know, and I'm glad they're using now Steven Sims and Boykin. Or Boykin got injured actually, but they're using him in the receiving game, and they started to use Connor Haywood more. But why aren't we featuring these players into the game? And bring it back to the Colts. How can they feature these players on offense to be victorious this week? How can they do it? How does Kenny Pickett get the ball to, say, McFarland or Najee Harris in these games?
I think you obviously got to run the ball with Harris. Harris is the main running, and I think that's all we're going to see is Harris running the ball. Save me Snell for the playoff. Yeah, they are 100%. Benny Snell football.
You gotta love it. I'm sorry, I forgot my question. I don't know what you're talking about. I love.
Okay, so
chat.
yeah,
that's so
how
funny.
can they? Yeah, so. He'll run. I think they've got to run Harris. Obviously, Harris has looked better the last 2 weeks on the whole. 90 odd yards last week, 99 yards the week before. Harris is getting back to somewhere where we saw him last season. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the rest of them, they've got to spread the ball around more on offense. They've got to throw the ball to Stephen Sims. Why they're not targeting him, I don't know. They've got to throw the ball to Haywood. They've got to throw the ball to Freiermuth. Freiermuth has been outstanding. He's been brilliant this year. He really has. And against the Bengals, there was at times when I felt like he was sort of fighting them single-handedly at times. I think there was one catch. I think it was the Bengals game where he caught, and I think he ended up with about 5 players going through about 5 players for someone.
That was going for the field goal. That was 20 seconds ago, running down for the field goal.
Yeah, I think someone managed to bring him down, but it took 5 or 6 players to actually get hold of him to bring him down because he just would not give up. And this guy's got Travis Kelce, George Kittle stars.
Well, like you said, he's a superstar. If he was playing in the Chiefs or the Bills or a high-powered offense like that, or even the Eagles per se, they would be using him in that way, right? Yeah. So I agree with you 110%. Who on the defense, who's got to really? Is this a game that TJ Watt is going to absolutely wake up and bring back his old self and take care of, Matty Ice? Because this is a game too that it's Coach Tomlin actually. Like, I might even talk about this on the Syndicate or my channel, Still Oz, whichever one I do. It's Coach Tomlin versus Jeff Saturday. Jeff Saturday has coached 2 games. He's 1-1. Coach Tomlin is coaching for 16 years. There needs to be, you know what I'm saying? There's like, if you're getting beat by, no offense to Jeff Saturday, I respect him. I hope he does well. But, if you're getting beat by a coach who was a former player, no experience at all, I don't think. He has no experience, right?
He coached in high school, apparently.
right? He has no experience getting game plans together, and you let him beat you. That's saying something.
It is. It is. I mean, especially as the Colts come out of that division as well, the AFC South, which stinks to high heaven. You've only really got the Tennessee Titans in that division, and even they're not that great. But yeah, if we lose to the Colts, there's big questions got to be asked. Big questions got to be asked of, and they're not just of Canada, not just of Terrell Austin, but also of Mike Tomlin. To what extent has he lost the dressing room? To what extent is he in control anymore? To what extent can he coach anymore? If you get out coached by someone like Jeff Saturday, who is a television analyst? That's what he is. He's a television analyst, and apparently his high school team sucked as well. Apparently they had losing records every season. Someone who can't even coach in high school, then you've got to ask some big questions. You've got to ask some massive questions.
Well, George makes a good point here too. Saturday's relying on his assistants for sure. I'm saying that too. It's everyone. But what I'm saying is, like, if Coach Tomlin has these 16 years experience and he's a veteran, he should have, certain things in his coaching, let's say, tool bag or whatever that can pull it out and go, oh, I know how to motivate the players. I know how to get these things done. Also, I know how to run the game or run the script or whatever, or, I was going to say timeouts, but he's one of the, I believe, or perception-wise, he's one of the worst coaches to do timeouts. But what I'm saying? Like, he has these things. Do I go for it 4th and 2 here? Do I go for a field goal that's out 55 yards and I know my kick is bad? You know what I mean? Those kind of little things are coaching, right? Because if Jeff Saturday has his kicker out there and he doesn't know about his kicker, was he even on the staff? No, he wasn't, was he?
No, he wasn't. It was hired from externally.
No, exactly. So he's like outside, right? So he doesn't know the players and that kind of stuff. So this would be a crazy matchup, and the Colts are favorite. And I understand the players are there too. I get that, but I'm saying, like, all these little things, like if Tomlin knows that Matthew Wright can't kick on this certain distance at this point, and to a certain degree, maybe that's why Tomlin has lost the locker room, because maybe he doesn't know these things or doesn't overly care anymore. I don't know if the passion is gone or whatnot. But what I'm saying is, like, Jeff Saturday right now, he might not know the strengths and weaknesses of his own players, let alone the other team. Whereas Tomlin, being in the building for 16 years, should be able to take control of this game. That's the big question.
Mm-hmm. He should be out. Yeah, he should be able to. He's got 16 years coaching experience. And look, if you look at the other most experienced coaches in the NFL at this moment in time, Bill Belichick, Andy Reid. Right. Would they be able to take control against the Colts? Of course they would. Of course they would.
They'd be able to figure it out. Bill Belichick has been known.
They're both in playoff contention. I mean, look, let's forget the Chiefs for a minute, because the Chiefs are probably the best team in the AFC. They are fantastic still, because Mahomes is just on a different planet. But are the Patriots that good realistically? Yet they're in the playoff. They're in a playoff spot. They're in a wild card spot. Are the Patriots really that good this season? I would argue not. They're not a great team.
They've got a good run game.
They're third in their division. They're third. They're behind the Dolphins. They're behind the Bills. Then they're not a great team. Yet he's got that team in playoff contention with. And perhaps I'm biased, but if you actually sat and looked at and compared the Patriots roster with our roster, is the roster any better? Is their roster any better than our roster?
Not well. It depends if you're really a believer in Mac Jones or whatnot. To me, he's just a guy, right?
Yeah.
But that is coaching on them, because Bill Belichick knows how to coach against opposite teams and rookie players too, right? He's been known to have one of the best records against rookies, that kind of stuff. That's why I'm saying it's going to be an interesting matchup versus the Colts Monday Night Football. Coach Tomlin, with all these years of experience, all these different tricks in the back of his bag, and Saturday's like, oh, I just walked in here, and I used to be a Colt, and now I'm leading the men out to battle. And this is going to be very, very interesting, right? Jedi says here, what are your thoughts on this? I know it won't happen, but he thinks that switch Flores and Tomlin, then we'll see what happens. Flores obviously is fighting for us. He just got the job from Tomlin to be linebackers coach, but he's fighting to be a head coach again. Would that make sense? If Tomlin walked away at the end of the year, he said, well, I'm done. I think mutual respect. Nothing's working. See you later. And would that happen?
I could see them doing it, because they love to promote from within. Would I think it's a good idea? No, I don't think it's a good idea, because I think it's replacing one very defensively minded head coach with another very defensively minded head coach. To be honest with you, if it came to this, if Tomlin did walk away, I think it's gonna take. Look, I'm not saying sack Tomlin at this moment in time, but I think he does need to come under pressure. He does need to come under pressure in these last 7 games. And then if we finish 3-14, 4-13, 5-12, we need to have that discussion. Because I put a post up on my channel about, would you move on from Tomlin at the end of the season? And I got absolutely slaughtered by some people saying, "What, after one losing season?" But it's not just one losing season. It's been 5 bad seasons that haven't been great. No playoff wins.
We said that at the start of the podcast, right, from 2016.
No playoff win in 6 years.
It's been this trajectory going down. I was just going to say, we won't say fire Tomlin this season. We'll say it next season. Yeah. I'm not going to probably say it for a very long time, but I do see the points. I'm finally seeing. I don't like being too overreactionary to it, because it is his first losing season to a certain degree. But there is something missing, and we've been talking about this the whole podcast, right? There's something missing for sure.
I mean, I would personally, if Tomlin decides at the end of this season he's had enough, and do you know what? If he did decide he's had enough, I wouldn't blame him. The guy's coached for 16 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
He hasn't spent time with his family, because I listened. I was listening to Tony Dungy being interviewed once, and Tony Dungy talked about the fact that when you're a head coach of an NFL football team, your family very much plays second fiddle to what you are to your job. It is your job. 20 out of 24 hours a day. It is your job 7 days a week. You are the head coach of a football team, and that is your job. And at times you don't really have anything to do with your family, because it's so all-encompassing. And who would blame him if he did walk away at the end of the season and say, "Look, I've had enough now. 16 years, I've done my bit." I mean, the guy doesn't need the money, does he? I mean, does not need the money. That's the other thing. So if he does decide to move on, what I would do personally, and I'm no expert, but I would go and I would get an offensively minded head coach. I would look around the NFL and find an offensively minded head coach. And if that means paying the Saints what they want for Peyton, do it. I mean, the guy's very offensively minded. Or going, I don't know, Bieniemy from the Chiefs, or I don't know. I'm not sure who the offensive coordinator is in Philadelphia at the moment. I can't remember the guy's name, but someone like him, bring in somebody who's got an exceptional offensive mind. That's what we need. Leave the defense. Promote Brian Flores to defensive coordinator if he doesn't get a head coach's job. Leave the defense to him, because then you've got an outstanding defensive mind coaching it. Go and get someone who's got an outstanding offensive mind. Bring an offensive coordinator who's going to support that person. That would be the way forward.
Sean Payton came out, I think, the other day in an article I read, and said he was interested in coming back to the NFL. And I think it was the LA Chargers might have been a team, or someone else too. I can't remember who it was, but he could be linked around there. Do you remember why he got sacked? I can't remember. Sean Payton.
He didn't. He stepped down. He gave up. He's just stepped down he'd had enough.
Okay.
So he stepped down. But he's still under contract. That's the problem to the Saints.
Okay.
If you want anybody who wants Peyton's going to have to pay money for him now. Well, not money, right. Because you don't pay money in the NFL. Have to give up something in return.
Well, the thing is, too, that Tomlin is now on contract till 2024. And I think Matt Canada's the same. But you are right. There might be this mutual idea of like, well, I think now time's enough. All good things got to come to an end to a certain degree, right? We've gone a long, long time for a 30-minute show.
Mm-hmm. We've even been joined by Santa Claus as well.
G'day, Santa. There you go.
Now, Mark, have you been good? Mark, he wants to know, have you been good this year?
No, not really, I'm pretty I haven't been good or bad. I've just been in the middle,
Yeah, me too, mate.
If you don't say, you can't be bad if you don't say anything. And then with that being said, too, what are your final thoughts, I guess, on the Colts game? And actually, 2 questions. Are they going to win? And if they do win, will you get a slight bit of... No, okay. If we win, will you be excited for the next game? A bit more. Tiny bit. Because we've got still a chance. They can go on a 7-0 run. Who have they got after us? Who we got after the Colts? Falcons?
Yes. And then the Ravens.
Right. You've got to win 2 games in a row.
And this is going to hurt, who will kick our asses all over the park, honestly think that. But so what's the first question? Will we win?
Yes. Will we win?
17-13. I think it'll be a boring game. I think it'll be a boring game. It'll be a boring game. 17-13 or 13-10 or something like that. I don't think it's going to be the most fascinating game in the world because you've got two very bad teams playing. Will I get excited for the next game? Yeah. But Mark, I get excited for every game, no matter who we're playing, even if I think we've got absolutely no chance whatsoever. And even if we were playing the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football and I knew, my heart of hearts, realistically, we're going to get our backsides handed to us on a plate. Yeah, I'd still get excited, definitely.
Oh, geez, George has been a bit out there, isn't he? Georgie boy. George, for Christmas, I want a copy of the... Oh, my Lord. All right.
So would Mark, Santa. So would Mark.
you guys are funny. For me, I think they can win this game.
Yeah.
I just put so much effort in the last game to be so hyped. I'm not hyped yet, as you can probably tell by my demeanor. But after today's Thanksgiving, Friday, Saturday, come Sunday, watch all the games Sunday, I will be really hyped, actually, if all AFC North games lose. Because we can catch up.
Yeah, but who are they playing, though? That's the question, Mark. Who's everyone
playing? Ravens are playing Jags.
Okay, Ravens
win. Browns are playing Tampa Bay.
Tampa win.
And Titans are playing Bengals.
Bengals win.
Really? I don't know.
I don't rate the Titans. I really don't rate the Titans.
This gives because one of our other chances too is the wild card, of course, and of course the AFC North. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying if it does, my hype level will be just you know what I mean? Just up a tiny bit more because they all lose and we can win. That's what you want to happen, right? We go to 4, they stay at 7, and then we're 3 behind, right? Brian, the chance we win out, I'm 1 in 100, and I'm 1 in a million. So you tell me there's a chance?
No. What's that on? I can't remember. That's my film, isn't it?
That's on my Dumber and Dumber.
Yeah.
You tell me there's a chance.
Here's a question for you, Mark. Look, I will be rooting 1,000,000% that we win on Monday night, yeah, against the Colts. But does a win paper over the cracks, Mark?
No, it doesn't. Does it cover everything up? You're saying, right?
Yeah.
No, there's still a lot. They had to in this game last week. They had to go back to back. They played a fantastic game against the Saints, who was a bad team. They had to go back to back, and that didn't happen. We did the first time, and it fell apart. You have to build consistent wins along the way, and that doesn't mean take care of the Colts, absolutely destroy them, prove to everyone that you can do that. They haven't destroyed a team in 3 years, absolutely run them over. They haven't done that in a long time. Go and destroy them on Monday night, make them look silly from defense. Bury Matt Ryan in the ground. Do what you need to do. Outcoach them, everything. Just show up completely. Mm-hmm. Don't just win by 3 points. Win by 27 points if you can. Do that. And then when you go in, I think the Falcons, are we away for the Falcons?
Yeah.
Well, then you go to the Falcons, you beat them too. And then you have 2 games in a row, and then you're having a really important chance to get back into the playoffs with a big game against the Ravens. The thing is, they haven't had the consistency to back it up. And we've been talking about it because we do look flat. Canada looks flat. The whole team looks flat. There's something about this team that is missing. And if that is outside coaching hires, then that needs to happen, right? Because right now, Tomlin always says, I don't live in my fears. But he is. He's seeking comfort. He's comfortability wise. If you need to be uncomfortable because he's not winning games. That's what's happening, right? And of course, it's only his own first losing season, no Big Ben, yada, yada, yada. But if you were that outstanding coach that I think he can be and has been, then show it to us. But he's not showing that. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. And we do got to win every game. You have to win every game. There's no other chance. You have to go 10-7 to have a chance at the AFC North and a chance at the playoffs.
Yeah, and let's face it. Belichick, Mac Jones' first season in the NFL went to the playoffs. Yes, they got hammered by the Bills, but they still went to the playoffs.
That's right. So, anyways, guys, we're coming to the top of the hour right now. So I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. There's still one more game to go.
There's still time left to the Thanksgiving. It's only 3 minutes past 7 on the Eastern Seaboard.
There you go. Yeah, everyone's probably falling asleep now, but the second win for dinner and stuff like that. But
yeah,
it's
get
21...
your beers out, get your alcohol out, get partying.
Yeah, bloody oath. It's 21-13 right now for the Cowboys over Giants, and those two teams are 7-3. They're showing a bit of heart. I know you can't stand the Cowboys.
Mark, you disappointed me, yeah.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. It's super exciting. We're getting also, very close to Christmas too. And we've got to figure out a schedule on what we're going to do for Christmas, because there are games on Christmas.
I know. Christmas Eve, isn't it? Which is Christmas Day for me.
Christmas, same for me. I'll be streaming the game on Christmas Day. I'm going to probably do the family stuff in the morning. Well, I don't really care about presents anymore. I'm not really worried, but I'll have a bit of lunch in the morning or something like that. Or, and then I'm going to stream and drink beers. And I could be a little bit cut for the post game, but that's it. And that's the thing. This game versus Raiders, it means something, but it won't mean much. Imagine if there was playoff opportunities, Owen, for the Christmas Day game.
Yeah. I think we should do some sort of joint stream on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yeah, we can do that. We could possibly. The only thing is like,
can I spend Christmas together, Mark?
Well, we can. The only thing is we can put it on all our channels and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I know we're breaking the fourth wall here, but we don't swear on this channel. And I swear a dang lot on Steelers.
Well, let's just not we won't put it on the Syndicate. We'll just put it on Britsburgh and I'll let you swear. I try not to swear, but I will let you swear.
Hey, we'll figure it out, man.
It's a cultural thing. I don't unlike the World Cup, which is going at the moment, Mark, I will not suppress your cultural instincts.
Yeah, it's I don't even do it that much. It's just the game, like the last week's game was absolutely horrible, and I just couldn't help myself. I just couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. It's Thanksgiving. There's still one more game to go. Vikings versus Patriots. I think it's that last game. It's going to be a good game. So, and we have this one now, 21-13. But thanks, mate. Stick around for a little bit, and I think we talked about the game for about 10 minutes, so that's all right. Yeah. That's good.
And let's just say for our mate Trey, Skull Vikings for later.
Yeah, we've got our other guy, Minnesota Vikings Syndicate, and Trey's having a fantastic season. Even though they got walloped by Dallas last week, but yeah, Skull the Vikes, and here we go, Steelers. Here we go.